We are looking at Natalie's Freestyle, Below the Water, commentary by Coach Chris. We're going to let this one run again. We talked a lot about her recovery and some of her stroke habits above the water. Again, solid turn. Only thing I don't like is, and we're going to talk about it, is that head position on the streamline. Her streamline starts out good, but it breaks down. So, doing a real good job with the head position. That's the head position I want. But I don't like this. So she's extending out instead of down. What I would like her to do is come a little more down and in with her fingertips, so that she ends up going straight to this position, instead of reaching out like she is on a recovery. You can see her reach out and forward. You don't generally want to extend your arm forward into that upper band of water, like the band that your body is passing through, the top 4 inches. You want to get the hand under that, where that line is. Now she gets there, but she gets there late. And in order to get there, she has to push through all this water, and she's doing it with the entire surface of her arm. So all that water is now stirred up, and stirred up water is harder to move through. So what that ends up doing is it makes her slower, because she's moving through literally harder water. If you stir water up enough, it becomes as solid, almost, or more solid than a brick wall. So she's stirring the water up, and it makes it harder to pass through. That's what we're trying to avoid. So if she can come over the top with a recovery, let the hand start to lead the recovery a little bit, like this, and then just drive it down and in to where she's reaching in this frame, that would be better. Now you're still going to stir up the water, but you're only going to do it with your hand. You're not going to push through it with the entire flat surface of your arm. And that's important. Similar to diving off the block and into the water. Now, as we talk about freestyle recovery, we have what I call the rising phase of the recovery, the falling phase of the recovery, didn't want to do that. The extension, where we reach forward. Then we have the anchor phase, where we roll the hand over so that the fingertips are straight towards the bottom and the hand is up and down. And then you have the pull. That's what I like to see in freestyle. So we have the different phases, okay? There's different phases of free that we're going to talk about. The rising part of the recovery, the falling part of the recovery, the extension, the anchor, and then the pull. Now we're going to go back through, and I'm going to show you so we can see what we're talking about, because this is a really good angle for this. So of course we have the rising part, and now we're on the falling part. And once the hand gets in the water, we've got the extension part. So her extension is higher than we wanted it. We just talked about that. And once we get to the end of the extension, before we start pulling water, we need to bend this hand so that it's straight up and down. So that's what our arm should be looking like, instead of keeping that hand flat. So extend out with the hand flat, and then roll the hand down. It's its own step. It exists before you start pulling forward. And then from this phase, after you anchor, you're going to pull yourself forward. Now, why is that important? Well, let's take this frame. Now, she's already started trying to pull water, and her hand's already moving. And let's look at the orientation of her hand. Here's her hand. Now, the direction you pull yourself is the opposite direction of where your palm faces. So right now her palm's facing towards the bottom, so she's pushing herself more up than forward. Now if we look at the same angle and we add that bend like we would have had if we would have anchored our hand, where our hand's straight up and down. Now we're moving forward. Okay? You don't start pulling yourself forward with maximum efficiency until that hand gets up and down. So we're getting to here on her stroke. And now we see that hand's up and down. Let's go back and see how long it takes to get there. So here's where she starts actually propelling herself forward with her arm. We'll go from extension. For her, this is her extension. So here's where her extension ends and she starts pulling water. Again, she's skipping the anchor phase, so her hand's not getting up and down. So we're going to bring the arm through this entire area. Watch. All of this motion is not propelling her forward. It's just pushing her up. And you can kind of see a lift of her body. So without that anchor phase, without rolling the fingertips down and getting that hand up and down, she's actually losing this part of her pull, which is about 35%. I mean, you watch what she's got left. This is the phase she's actually pushing water. Let's get there. Now she's pushing water. So she's practically losing half of her pull, where she's not actually moving forward because she's skipping that anchor phase. So something to keep in mind. Make sure we're anchoring that hand. You know, and also you can see on this one, because this is a breath stroke, we talked about it. Here's that good head position. Now here's that head position, that second one during the breathing, where she looks up. We have to stop doing this. This is gonna kill your freestyle because it's making you work way too hard. Don't look up and into the side. Just look to the side. All right, going to the turn. Solid connection with the wall, good plant, pushes off on her back, so really good what we talk about. Here the streamline's fairly good. Rotating, kicking at the right point, but watch as she kicks, watch her head. We're completely out of streamline now. So now she's basically got this drag profile. She's moving through the water like a brick. And that's just because her head's up. Keep the head down. The head should be down here. When we talk about this, the eyes should be down and back. Okay? Right now, the reason her head's up is because she's insisting on looking forward. Where she looks, where her nose points, that's going to influence where her head position is. And there's nothing streamlined about this. This is very, 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 very inefficient. And she's losing a ton of energy and doing a ton more work because of it. So keep the head down. Keep it in streamline. So a few things to fix. Turn looks solid. Streamline needs a lot more work. I mean, she has a fundamental idea of what she needs to do, but she's got to keep the head down. And a lot of the little kids, that's the biggest thing they need to learn, is they need to learn that eye discipline. They need to learn to keep the eyes on the right spot and not look around, not look forward, not bring the head out of position. Head position trumps all. If the head breaks down, everything breaks down, whether it's your streamline or your stroke. And she does the same thing on her breath where she looks forward. Head position breaks down, everything breaks down. So we've got to make sure that we're keeping our eyes in the right spots and keeping our head in the right positions. Stroke looks good. Pull looks solid. I'd like to see her finish a little more out the back. And I definitely want to see her add that anchor phase so she can get about 40% more power out of her pull, because we're losing a lot on that. Solid strokes though, solid mechanics. She's working really, really hard. Keep it up. I know good things are going to happen if we keep this up. So try to absorb some of this information. We'll continue to talk about it in practice, and I look forward to seeing you tonight at practice.